Without further ado, can I call upon Bim Aflami, who is the candidate for the Conservative Party, to make his presentation.
It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a real pleasure also for the Harpenden Society to host this, and thank you very much for doing that. And it's a good opportunity for me to thank you for all the work you do as a civic society in a non-partisan way to promote the well-being and success of this wonderful town. This evening, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about education, Brexit, trains, all sorts of things that the chairman mentioned earlier. But one thing that I wanted to start by saying is it's been an absolute pleasure to serve you and everybody in this constituency as your Member of Parliament for the last 2.5 years. I'd like to continue doing that. And there is one issue that I've noticed, and I believe is potentially an existential problem for this constituency and everybody in it. And that is the proposed near doubling in size of Luton Airport. And let me explain why that is the case. The first, over 35% of people who travel in and out of Luton Airport, and that includes the staff, not just the passengers, come across Hertfordshire. This constituency's roads, which directly abuts the airport, which is in Bedfordshire, of course, in Luton, are largely rural. They are small. They are often full up. Even the trunk roads are often full up, and the Lower Luton Road, we all know what that's like at rush hour, especially when they close a bit of it to do roadworks. The impact of near doubling Luton Airport would have a significant impact on the road traffic and the local pollution in this constituency, and I believe would significantly damage the lives of people here. That's the first reason. The second is aircraft noise. Since being your Member of Parliament in the last 2.5 years, I've received hundreds, perhaps even thousands of communications from constituents whose lives are blighted, particularly in the summer, by excessive aircraft noise, often at night, whether they be in Harpenden or in Sandridge or Rothamsted or nearer the airport in Offaly or Breachwood Green. This noise, in effect, would double with the expansion of Luton Airport. And that, for many people in this constituency, would be something that is too strong to bear, bearing in mind a lot of the people who are complaining to me bought their homes long before Luton Airport was at the size that it currently is, let alone doubling in size. The third point is this: the environment. The last year or so, you can fall over people talking about the importance of the environment. But when it comes to action, Luton Borough Council, Labour-run Luton Borough Council, pushing the expansion of Luton Airport, at the same time as, frankly, Heathrow is being expanded in the southeast of England, somehow they think that that is going to help our environment, help our local environment. And, of course, the impact on climate change we all know to be significant. The last thing I'll say is about Brexit. This has been such a difficult issue over the last 2.5 years. Many of you know that. Looking across the audience, many of you have spoken to me about it. When I stood in 2017, I stood on a manifesto to implement the result of the referendum and do so in as smooth and as effective a way as I could. I've held to that manifesto. I stand on a very similar view now, and that's what I will seek to do, to serve everybody in this constituency on Brexit, whether they voted leave or remain. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Under 4 minutes, thank you. Can I now call upon Kay Tart, who is the Labour Party candidate?
Good evening. Is it working? Yes. I would also like to thank the Harpenden Society for putting this event on this evening. I think it's so important that local people get the opportunity to talk to people who are putting themselves forward to be their elected representatives. My name is Kay Tart. I am a Hitchin resident. I was born in this constituency. I grew up here and I'm now raising my family here. I'm a district councillor at North District Council, where I am also the Deputy Executive Member for Environment and Leisure, which I've really enjoyed being involved in, and we are setting out the steps of the council to take that will really make a difference locally in reducing our carbon footprint and encouraging local people to do the same. I got involved in politics about a year ago. I became a Labour Party member well before that, but it was actually when the effects of austerity landed on my doorstep that I decided to get involved myself. And my children are at a local school, and last year we lost our deputy head teacher to redundancy because we could not afford to keep her on. It was either that or shut the nursery. And at that point, I really thought enough was enough, and that's when I decided to do something about it. I originally started a local action group for parents, carers, grandparents and teachers if they wanted to join, to look at what we could do about pressurising our MP to support our call for proper education funding. And it's really that's led me to be where I am today, because as a voice for that campaign, I began to hear from other people about other things that were concerning them that they didn't know what to do about, like why weren't there bins being emptied, who was responsible for the potholes in the road, why haven't we got double yellow lines in this corner and I can't get on the bus from this bus stop. And people turned to me to be an advocate for them, and that's why I decided to stand as a candidate in the district council elections. And I was absolutely delighted to be elected in May in the ward in which I live and which I was born. And I've been working really hard in that ward. I've really enjoyed my time as a councillor because it allows me to help local people in a really practical way. And that really is what has led me to decide to apply to become a candidate for the Labour Party. And I'm standing for the Labour Party because I really want the world that my children inherit to be better than the world that I inherited from my parents. And at the moment, I can't see that happening. And so for me, the issues that matter to me as a local resident are the same things that matter to everybody else I've spoken to who are local residents. It's proper funding for our schools and for our NHS and proper social care in the community for our elderly. It's properly affordable, truly affordable local housing for local people so that our children and then our children's children can afford to live in the area in which they grow up if that's what they choose to do. It's proper public transport that works for people and not for profit, and that is reliable and affordable and gets us to where we need to be. It's a really crucial public service, and it's something that has been really badly affected and hasn't been fixed. And for me, it's also about action on climate change. We need to do something. We've been told by the IPCC that we have 10 years to take action. And that's why I volunteered to be the Deputy Executive Member for Environment at North District Council. It's a post we created specially because we believe it's really important. And I have been pushing from within the council for proper action. And we are taking steps. They're slow steps because we've had a change of administration for the first time in 20 years. But change can happen, and if we want change, we have to vote for it. So from my point of view, I would really like your support on the 12th of December. Please don't waste your vote and vote Labour.
Thank you very much. That was 3 minutes 30, which is well within time, so thank you. Could I now call upon Sid Caudle, who is the candidate of the Christian People's Alliance?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I also have the pleasure of living in Hitchin and being involved in the community there. My wife and I have put on a number of parachurch events in Hitchin, which have been well supported, and it's good being part of the community there. My stepson goes to Hitchin Boys' School, and I stood to be a parent governor there. I've been a governor of a number of different schools, including being a chair of governor of schools. So that's just a little bit about me. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to talk about the policies. We believe that Britain benefits from Christian values. Our Queen is the defender of the Christian faith. And that is, if you actually look at the vows she made when she became Queen, then it's amazing. I mean, really, she's given the orb, and this is a sign that you rule under the authority of God, and God rules over the nation. But as you look at our nation today, you don't quite see that. One of our major concerns is the breakdown of marriage and the family, which, according to government figures, is actually costing some 48 billion pounds per year. But what are they doing about it? Is it even talked about? Is it going to be talked about tonight in the question time? Marriage and the family? Probably not. But shouldn't we be concerned about it? And we have radical proposals to seek to actually reverse the whole trend of marriage breakdown, which is to give a grant of £12,000 when people get married, but provided they go for at least 5 sessions of training. And again, a grant of £6,000 when you have your first child, again, provided you go for at least 5 sessions of training. Now, the reason for that is because the Marriage Society, which has looked at this in great detail, says too many people just drift into marriage without really thinking about what they're doing and drift into having families. So we want to actually do something radical that actually means that it's foolish not to actually get married and take advantage of the grants that are available and think about what you're doing and plan your family carefully. I mean, I'm very honoured to have 3 lovely girls, 2 of whom are married, and 3 grandchildren, 2 more on the way. And just this week, I'm pleased to say that I had a telephone call to say that my 3rd daughter is engaged to be married. And you know, I honour them. I honour them for the way in which they're conducting their lives. And I think it's a benefit to our society if people behave in that way. Now, one of the results of the breakdown of family life has been crime. And we've also got some very detailed proposals to seek to deal with crime. Again, at one time, crime was something which was talked about a lot, but I haven't heard of any person asking any questions about crime. Yet knife crime is escalating throughout the country. More and more people are being killed. And it seems as though the powers that be are helpless to do anything about it. And whatever policies they put forward, they're not working. But we've got a policy that does work, and we can prove it works. And that is to work with people as they leave prison. Now, what happens is when people go into prison, if they're living alone, they lose their home. You can't pay rent to your home when you're in prison.
30 seconds.
Okay, so when you come out of prison, your home's gone. And even people that have got families, often they can't return to their homes because they've got to safeguard the children, whatever. So what we want to do is to work with people when they leave prison, to guarantee them a place to live, to help them to get a job. And Saltbox in Stoke and the Message Trust in Manchester that have done this have got reoffending rates down from 30% to 10%. It means fewer victims, fewer people in court, hope for people in prison. And it actually means that the whole of society benefits. That is the right answer. Simply building more prisons doesn't work. Saying we're not going to bother to put people in prison, that doesn't work. We've got a policy that works.
Thank you very much, Sid. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And can I call upon then Sam Collins, who is the candidate of the Liberal Democrats? I won't start till the full stop set. Now, start.
In 2016, in the summer, I woke up one day and I was very worried. I was worried about our country. I was worried about our area. It was June, about the 23rd of June, I think it was, and the EU referendum result had just come in, and I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do about this? And I'd been a bit worried about the state of the country before that and the way things were going, and I didn't like it very much. And that morning I sat there, I had a good think about it, and I watched the news coverage like many of you did too, and I decided to join the Liberal Democrats at that point. And that's how I've ended up standing here in front of you. My name's Sam Collins, and as you've heard, I'm the Liberal Democrats parliamentary candidate for Hitchin and Harpenden. And with your support, I will be the next MP for Hitchin and Harpenden, and hopefully I'll represent you very, very well. Now, when I joined the Liberal Democrats, it wasn't just because of Brexit. It's because I didn't really accept that things just had to stay the same. I didn't accept that things had to just be the way they were because that's the way things are. I joined the Liberal Democrats because I believed in something. I believed in a better future for our area, for our country, a brighter future than that offered by the Conservative Party or the Labour Party or any other major party in this country. And that's not a future that to be taken lightly. It's not just words. It's a future that involves proper investment in our NHS, proper funding for our schools, a decent public transport system that actually works for the needs of the towns it's supposed to serve. And it's a Brexit, it's a future that doesn't involve Brexit, because that is a disaster for our country and our area. And it's a disaster for our environment as well, because the future I have in mind means that we take the climate crisis seriously. We fight the climate crisis, and every single person takes real action in their lives to improve things. But it's not just that. When I stood as a councillor for the Liberal Democrats, it showed me that there was a different way, that you can make a change in the country, you can make a change in your local area. By standing up for what you believe in and working hard, you can actually do stuff, you can make a big difference. And it's not just about making a difference to the things you care about. The most important thing is to listen to the people you're supposed to represent. You listen to their concerns, you listen to what they care about, and you take action. You do things, because you're there to represent them. And so you're going to hear a lot of stuff tonight from the other two parties, and they'll make a lot of claims. And not all of those claims will be able to be delivered. In fact, most of them, they can't deliver those claims if Brexit happens. And that's why I'm standing in front of you as the only Remain candidate here. I'm backed as that by the Unite to Remain campaign. Thanks to the Green Party, you've got a little slip of paper, and I'd recommend reading it because it explains why that happened. I'm backed by the People's Vote campaign because that's the right thing. We have to let you, the people of Britain, have the say on Brexit. Not the politicians, it's down to you, the people. You have to have the final say. So if you want to remain in the European Union, you want that final say, then please vote Liberal Democrat next Thursday. But also, as your representative, and I was talking about this a little bit just a moment ago, that it's about representing you. So if I'm elected as your local MP, I will be there to represent you. I will put the constituency first. I will put you first. I'll put our area first. That's before any party whip, any party instruction, and any career goals. I will be your MP, and I want to work for you for my entire life. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm here for you. Thank you. And if you want that, you want somebody who cares about our area and who wants to work for you, then please vote for me next Thursday. Thank you.